Hi everyone, today's Malaysian Studies presentation, and let me introduce myself at first. I'm Wang Shuyu, and today I'm going to introduce contemporary Malaysia and basic information of Malaysia. Malaysia has a diverse society due to its geographical location and its long-standing contact with the outside world. And Malaysia is undoubtedly a typical representative of pluralistic society. Malaysia has a unique culture, identity, and diversity of races and languages. Malaysia is located in Southeast Asia and is a constitutional monarchy. The capital city is Kuala Lumpur. The country is divided into two parts, the east and the west. Malaysia is a multi-ethnic country. In Malaysia, the official language is Malay and the national anthem is written Malay. English is the common language in Malaysia and is widely used for education communication. Chinese and Tamil are also widely spoken in Malaysia. And the Malaysian national religion is Islam and is the Muslim majority country. However, some people also follow Buddhism, Christianity, and although Islam is the state religion, the Constitution allows freedom of religion and harmony between religions. This certainly shows that Malaysia is religiously diverse country. And thank you.
Okay, I'm going to introduce my pages and my part. In group work, I was responsible for collecting some relevant background and materials of Malaysian institution. So I prepared the three parts. The first part is institutional prefer, and the next part is legislative power, executive power, and the supreme leader. And the last one is 13 stage government. So I looking at a lot of literature, so I come up with about for these 7 pages.
Hello, Doctor. I'm mainly responsible of the history of Malaysia before the 16th century. The history of Malaysia before the 16th century was divided into two periods, prehistoric period and the feudal period. I will mainly introduce the feudal period in my report. The early Indian settlement dominated Malaysia. The Hindu and Buddhist culture, important from India, dominated the history of early Malaysia. My report is over. Thank you, Doctor.
Talk about history before the arrival of the British settlers. The course of Malaysia history has been shaped by its strategic location at the major crossroads of the world. Its tropical climate, its surrounding environment, and the northeast and the southwest. Its location and other geographical circumstances made the country a neutral meeting place for traders from east and west. And the environment is kept all year of the warm. 6th century. In 1607, the Sultanate of Acre rose to become the most powerful and prosperous states in Malaysia. Under his rule, Malaysia became more and more powerful. In 1929, the flag of the Sultanate of Acre disintegrated in a battle against Malaysia.
Hello, I'm Huang Yu. I'd like to introduce our group work presentation. And the part I was in charge of was introducing the independence of Malaysia. The new British policy of colonial autonomy and the rise of colonial democracy in Asia after World War II intensified the conflict between the Malayan Communities Party and the British Army, and the Communist Party of Malaysia decided to fight for independence by force rather than using peaceful methods of fighting. In 1946, the British proceeded to establish the Federation of Malaya, which was opposed by Malays, and in 1948, the British agreed to establish the United States of Malaya. The United States of Malaya was formed in 1957, following the merger of the Federation of Malaya and the Strait Settlements and the State of Malaya. On September 16, 1963, Sabah, Singapore, and Malaysia were incorporated into this country. Thank you.
Now I'm going to introduce the Malaysia economic environment from the 1916s to the present. First of all, our group divides the story of the financial stuff into two parts. First of all is the days past, and another one is the recent ages. We think from the independence of Malaysia till like the 1990s, the Malaysia was the system of the financial was unstable. Because from all the years, it was always under kind of control, like one system of government, or like the triangle, the comparison of the three powers is really not good for the country. And recent years, it changed a lot. I think the huge step was in the 2010. The Malaysia gave the new plans for the financial, like the ETP here, and also the new economic model. And after that, like in the next 5 years, they also change the plan, like it's a 4 years plan. And even in the 4 years plan, the first year in the 2016, they build up like the 30 years plan. I think that's a really huge step for the country's future. That means the country's economic environment was organized. It will be more bright and lead to the Malaysia the light future.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Feng Xinkai and I will be explaining the first part of Malaysia's social development from 1960s to present. Okay, you can see some social development about Malaysia from 1959 to 1969. Now, these days coincides with anniversary of Malaysian independence and the granting of British autonomy to Singapore and Sabah. And The next, these exports industries provide the Malaysian government with a steady and reliable surplus that can be invested in industrial development and infrastructure projects. And finally, Malaysia was founded after the Indo-Malaysian conflict. The secession of Singapore from Malaysia on 9 August 1965, the May 13 incident in 1969, and the Colon Floors in 1969. Okay, that's all.
Okay, let me introduce about social development in Malaysia after 1971. Parliament was restored in 1971 and a new government collection, the National Front, was formed to take office. After becoming Prime Minister in 1981, Mahathir Mohamad announced a policy of learning from the East. From Japan and South Korea, the modernization projects of Japan and Korea became a model for Malaysia during his 22 years in office until 2003. The Malaysian economy grew significantly and the poverty rate fell dramatically. So I think Mahathir Mohamad is a very successful leader. In the decade leading up to the 1997 SF financial crisis, the Malaysian economy grew at an average annual rate of over 8%. Malaysia jumped to 21st place in the global economic competitiveness table, and the annual per capita income increased from about $1,830 in 1986 to nearly $4,000 in 1996, making the nation second only to Singapore in terms of affluence in the entire Southeast Asian region. I think Malaysia's economy rose and prospered during this period. In late February 2020, the fall of the Islands of Hope government triggered a political crisis and formed a national alliance.
Hello everyone, my name is Wang Hanyin. My matric number is 160201. I will present this conclusion of part of our Malaysian study group assignment. There are 4 parts. The first part talks about the basic information of Malaysia, including location, language, and religion, and the state situation of Malaysia. Then we studied the history before the 16th century and history before the era of the British settlers. The most important part is the independence of Malaysia. Finally, we discussed the rapid economic and social development of Malaysia after the 1960s. So studies the history of Malaysia, we have learned about the US leading to independence and also how Malaysia has developed since independence to date. When we finished our assignment, we were happy to learn about Malaysia's history and unique culture. Thank you to Doctor and all my group members.